Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to a video on the channel. What we have for you today is our Game Week 1 team preview, selection and captaincy advice. So if you are new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, especially on such a small channel that's trying to grow. So thank you for all the support so far this season. Hopefully this video will give you a bit of insight and help you make some final decisions or some first decisions on your team as the season is only a couple of days away. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with our fixtures, and the first fixture of the new season is on Friday. It's really important that you don't think it's a Saturday deadline for your FPL teams because you don't want to be starting a season behind everybody else, and you don't want to be missing that first deadline. It is an 8 o'clock kickoff. Burnley hosting Man City. It'll be really interesting to see how Man City get on. Usually, the first fixtures of the game weeks, whether that's an early kickoff on the Saturday or a Friday night, aren't all that they're cracked up to be. I think a lot of people will be captaining Haaland, possibly myself included, but we'll save that for the team selections. I think it's kind of everyone's kind of hoping that it will be like a 5-6 nil to Man City. It's more likely to be a 2-0 Man City. Hopefully, your players will get a good return, but you'll probably be having a couple of players playing. And likewise, in the early kickoff on Saturdays, Arsenal host Nottingham Forest. Now, by the time 3 o'clock rolls round on Saturday, will have had you could easily have had about 5 or 6 of your team having played already, and it will really give yourself an insight into what the weekend's going to be in store for you. I think myself, that'll be the case. And usually the 12:30 kickoff, I would say avoid captaining anyone from there. But I think with both the top teams in the league having fixtures that are kind of outside the normal kickoff time, I think you'll probably find yourself captaining someone from there. So I think if everyone's in the same boat, it's fair enough. And, it's maybe a case of, you don't want to miss out on points early on, and you're better off just captaining who everyone else will be captaining just to give yourself that even playing start, along with all the other FPL managers. The 3 o'clock kickoffs, there's a lot of mid-table teams in here, or at least predicted mid-table teams. There's nobody that I would say, oh, you should definitely captain them, especially over any Arsenal or Man City players. You kind of think a lot of these are hard to call. You possibly say Brighton at home to Luton. You'd quite like to think that, maybe a Brighton midfielder or a player that you've got from your team could score points there. But it's not always the case. Sometimes these teams come up from the Championship and they start really strong because other teams haven't figured them out. That could be a potential banana skin for Brighton. Other than that, there's no fixtures that really stand out for me. Until we get to the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, we've got Newcastle against Aston Villa, and that will be a really interesting game to see how both these teams are going to stack up this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see if you've got one player from each of these teams in your squad. People predict Aston Villa to do great things this season, and Newcastle, at least before the Champions League starts, you'd say that they should pick up where they left off. Clean sheets, I'm not too sure about, but we'll have to wait and see. Next is on to Sunday, and we've got Brentford versus Spurs as our first kickoff. Now, Spurs are another team that will be interesting to see because Harry Kane said that once the season kicks off, he doesn't want to leave Spurs. He doesn't want to leave him once the campaign started because it'll leave him in a bit of a bad spot. So if Harry Kane's still at Spurs, come the weekend, it might be worth considering getting him in as a late deadline transfer on Friday. How you'll fit him in if you've also got Haaland, I don't know. But he is someone that could score 30 goals a season like he did last year, and possibly away at Brentford is maybe an outside pick for captaincy, although fair play to you if you want to risk it and if you've got Kane in your team as it is. The final game of the Sunday fixtures is Chelsea against Liverpool, and just like Newcastle Villa, that will be really interesting to see how both these teams line up, as it will give us a good indication of how they're going to do in the season. If you've been sat on the fence for either Chelsea or Liverpool players, like I kind of have, you'll be really keen to see how they get on. I do think that Liverpool maybe will finish stronger than Chelsea this season, but just because they've really had a bit more consistency in terms of coaching and player turnover. But having said that, they have got an entirely new midfield, so there'll be a lot of eyes on this fixture to see how both teams gel. The final fixture of the game week is on Monday, so it's quite a widespread game week to be honest. Going across 4 days, and it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Man United at home to Wolves. Now, I've predicted Wolves to struggle this season. Man United at home, be really interested to see how they get on. I'm anticipating a strong start as Ten Hag's had a full pre-season compared to last season, and there's been a bit less changeover in terms of squads. rotation as it is. Players, FPL players that are looking to get in either Rashford or Bruno Fernandes, maybe even Luke Shaw or Onana, someone from the defence, will be hoping they can get off to a strong start. And I don't really see why they can't at least keep a clean sheet, get a couple of goals as well. So onto my team for this game week, and it's got a team rating of 95% on Fantasy Football Hub. Shout out to them on their team rating tool. And we're going to start in goal with Andre Onana. Now, for me, I've gone with him because I think um, Man United are going to be solid this season, like we've just said with their fixtures. I do expect them to finish top three at least, possibly top two. And you'd like to think if that's the case, they'll be keeping some clean sheets along the way. Onana's a great keeper because he's coming just under that 5.5 million mark. And for me, he's a little bit in between the 4.5 that I normally go for, 5.5 that I'd never go for. And I think if you can get a 5 million goalkeeper for a supposed top three team, it's a fantastic return for your investment, really. I think Wolves at home is a great fixture for a possible clean sheet as well. So hopefully you can start out with that. On the bench, I've still got Areola, 4 million goalkeeper. There is a possibility I swap to Matt Turner if Matt Turner moves to Nottingham Forest before the deadline. I think then I'd have two playing goalkeepers, and if you can get a playing goalkeeper for 4 million, you should absolutely get him in your team. In defence, I've gone with Estupinan, Saliba, and Ruben Diaz. Now, quite spread the funds, really. 5 million, 5.5 million defenders. And they are people that I do expect to play more often than not. I think even though Man City have added to their defence, I would expect Ruben Diaz to be the first choice centre back in that team. They've both got, well, all three of them have got favourable fixtures. And I don't see why they all can't keep clean sheets. Although, as you know, we kind of said that last season, and they never really do. Someone will concede, and you'd be thinking, "Oh, what?" At the start of the game week, I never thought they'd concede, but they never all keep clean sheets. On the bench, I've got Reece James. Now, he is someone that could absolutely come in for someone like Estupinan or one of the midfielders later in the season. But that Liverpool game at home is just something, like we said, we're just a bit unsure about. And Liverpool are absolutely the sort of team that could get goals. My other substitute defender is Baldock. Now, at 4 million, he's just someone that I've got in to really just fill out the bench. Third bench option, very unlikely to need to use him. I did watch Sheffield United's latest or last pre-season game against Stuttgart, and they were not great, to be honest. So I wouldn't expect them to have lots of clean sheets. Hopefully, any Sheffield United players you've got in, you're not going to be relying on them too much because I do predict this season to be difficult for them. Into midfield we go, and we've got the Arsenal duo of Saka and Martinelli. So I've got triple Arsenal in my FPL team. Their fixtures look great at the start of the season, and they are a team that I think will do well, especially at the start. But I don't see what the problem in getting in three Arsenal players. I do expect both of them to start against Nottingham Forest, and it is the sort of fixture where you would hope both of them, or at least one of them, could get an attacking return. Next, I've got Mbuemo. Now, he has got a knock on him at the moment, but he's not someone that I'd be interested in taking out. It's only a dead leg. And, worst case scenario is that he doesn't play and Reece James comes in. We've said before that you really only need your bench, unless you're bench booster, you really only need your bench to be one deep. Very unlikely that in a single game week you're going to need to go two or three deep in your bench. But it is obviously a risk if someone else picks up a knock as well, or there is rotation, then I might have to rethink what I'm doing. But at this point, if it's just in Mbuemo, I've got no problem with Reece James coming in. Rounding out the midfield, we've gone with Foden. We've talked about Foden already. Hopefully, he can get a few more minutes this season, get a few starts under his belt. Burnley away, like we said, is a potential good fixture on paper. And I've made a transfer. I've swapped out Bruno Fernandes for Marcus Rashford. Just think Rashford has that more explosiveness into his game, and he did finish the season so well last year. He was in my team, and because he did so well, got me so many points. Part of me is like, he probably will do it again. There's not really been anything at Man United that would suggest that he won't. I know they've made a few transfers attacking wise, but maybe that's just going to strengthen them, if anything else, and to maybe, take eyes off Rashford and give him a bit more space to operate in further up the pitch. Up front, we're sticking with Haaland and Watkins. I've slapped the captain's armband on Haaland this game week. I do think he is the obvious choice for captaincy, even if it's more a case of fear of missing out if he does score points. It's quite strange that we'll get to Saturday morning and pretty much everyone's captaincy, I would assume, has already played. And then you'll start looking at the rest of your squad and panicking, whether you've made the right choices there. You know, he's the safe bet, isn't he? He's typically going to score more often than not. I know he's not scored a lot in pre-season, but he is a player that you can't just say, "Oh, he's not scored in 6 games in pre-season. He's never going to score again." He could absolutely burst out the gates once again this Premier League season. And I've gone with Ollie Watkins as well. Someone that got 15 goals last season, 8 million. I think is a bargain price. And like I said, I would expect Villa to do well. Maybe not in their first game this season, but as the season goes on, he is someone that could score goals. On the bench, I had to swap out Adebayo for McAtee from Luton Town. I don't expect him to play, but we have got a Luton Town representative in our team. Shout out to Luton. Story of the season. Hopefully, they can do well in their first season in the Premier League. So, some value on my team is exactly 100 mil. And for me, when I was looking at it, the strengths are I've got 12 great players in this team. Like we said, there's that space for one player to step in if someone rotates out. And they've got players from top teams, triple Arsenal, triple Man City, are kind of safe bets. I think usually what I've done in the past is I've kind of gone for players that I think are new to the league, and they're players that I think, oh, they might be good value, they might be hidden gems. Kind of avoided that this year. I think all my squad, apart from Onana in goal and the promoted players, have played in the league before. So that's tried and tested and a bit more safe than what I'd usually go for because usually my start is not very good and then I do better at the end of the season. So if I can get off to a good start, hopefully I'll do even better at the end of the season and get a really good rank. And they should do well on average, kind of like what we said with Watkins. Maybe not going to score every week, all of them, but hopefully some of them will score every week. And that'll average out throughout the season, where more often than not, they will be scoring points. Potential weaknesses is there's no money left in the bank. So if I did want to upgrade somebody, after game week 1, I can't really do it without taking a points hit and taking someone else out. And it's not something that I want to do first game week of the season is to take a points hit. I think if you've had pre-season, you should be able to hopefully make decisions that last you at least 4 game weeks. Obviously, that never happens all the time, and it's something that you have to be aware of and prepared to make changes if you need to. And potentially weak bench, but like we said, the bench isn't something that I'm too concerned about at the start of the season. Obviously, when we want a bench boost and things like that, then I'd need to, you know, readjust. But bench boost is something we'll get into on other videos. So let me know what you think about my team here. Are there any players that you think I should captain over Haaland? Any players that you think I've missed out on? And same with the fixtures as well. Any fixtures that you're looking forward to, or any questions about your team? Good luck in your first game week. And thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next one.